Welcome to the lecture on types of variables. By the conclusion of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate between qualitative and quantitative variables. You'll also be able to describe the qualities of a qualitative variable and the qualities of a quantitative variable. You will also be able to differentiate between a discrete and a continuous quantitative variable. So let's go ahead and get started. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So, when an object or individual is observed and recorded as a non-numeric characteristic, so anytime that it does not include numbers, it is qualitative. So, let's take a look at this. For example, eye color or eye shape. Round or blue, brown, the qualities that make up an individual's eyes. The type of vehicle, an SUV, a van, a bus, a sedan, that is qualities that describe the vehicle. The state of residence of an individual. For example, I was born in Wisconsin. I lived in Wisconsin for 18 years. That was my state of residence for 18 years, but now my state of residence is in Texas. And so that's describing the quality of the state in which I live. It has no numeric value. So these qualities are observed and recorded. They do not have any numerical value at all. So, do you know which of these choices are qualitative? 2 of them are qualitative, 2 of them are quantitative. Take a look at this for a minute. What do you think? So, nationality and sports played are both qualitative. I am Norwegian and I am English. I think I've got some French in me too. Those are qualities of my nationality. They have no numeric value. Also, I played soccer. I played a little bit of basketball, but I was horrible at it. But that is a quality of what sports I played. Also, if I wanted to, I could rank my proficiency in soccer. I could say I was very proficient or extremely proficient, and my basketball playing was abysmal or poor. Those would be qualities of my ability, and those would be qualitative. Those would be, we'll get into this a little bit later, but those would be ordinal qualitative data, where some of them would be nominal. Nominal would be you can't rank it. Ordinal would mean that you can rank it, but we'll get into that in the next lesson. Test scores are quantitative, and income is also quantitative because you can, those are numbers. So, and I just covered all this. When a variable is qualitative, it can only be counted. Some can be ranked, but some can only be counted. When a variable is reported numerically, it is quantitative, which we will be getting into in just a minute. Something that can be kind of confusing when a variable is a text or number. For example, although a letter grade reflects a particular score, it also reflects a rating system, saying, hey, A is you passed superiorly, where, F is you failed, and that's a quality of your work. And so it's a qualitative variable. But if I were to say I got a 95 on my exam, it would say that 95 is a numeric number that reflects the number that I got, the number of questions that I got correct. So that would be quantitative. So let's get into quantitative. Quantitative is a variable that can be reported numerically. And quantitative variables are either discrete or continuous, and we're going to get into that. So what is a discrete quantitative variable? So a discrete quantitative variable can assume only certain values, and there are gaps between the values. For example, number of bedrooms in a house. And you could say, you can only have a whole number of bedrooms in a house, or the number of vehicles in a Baylor parking garage. There might be 675 cars in that garage, but you can't have 675.5 or 675.44 vehicles in that garage. It has to be a whole number, which is that meaningful gap. Or the number of students in a stats course. Although all may not be mentally engaged, you may have already tuned me out, so they may only be partially mentally there. They are completely physically there, therefore I have a whole number of students in this class. So these examples are all discrete quantitative variables that have a certain can only assume certain values, and there's gaps. Okay. Next, continuous quantitative variables can assume any value within a specific range. So you might have a range of, say, 24 hours in a day. Of those 24 hours in a day, how many hours did you spend on social media in that day? You could spend 4.2674 hours in the day in social media, utilizing social media, or the amount of money that you spent on a Christmas sale, $275.76. There's not that meaningful gap in between, with the whole numbers or the GPA. There's not that meaningful gap either. There's that range of 0 to 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever your GPA scale was. So let's see if y'all got this. Which of the following are discrete and which are continuous? Let's take a look at this for a minute. Jersey number, the number 10. The number of spectators in an arena. The number of playing time in a game. The number of goals scored in a game. Which of those are discrete and which are continuous? Well, the answers are, the first one is qualitative, actually. Even though it is a number, it's just an identifier, and it has actually no numerical value. It's the same as a name. It describes, it's a quality of that player. So it is qualitative. Next, the number of spectators. Even though there might be over 100,000 individuals in the stands, there can only be a whole number of individuals in the stands. So therefore it is discrete. Next, playing time is continuous because there are 45 minutes and a half, and you can play 37.2564 minutes. You can play any time within that range of playing time for the entire game. Lastly, goals scored. You can't score half a goal or a quarter of a goal. You can only score whole goals. You either score or you do not. And so that is a discrete variable. So, summing up, what you guys learned today in this lecture is the difference between a qualitative and a quantitative variable, and you're able to differentiate between those. You are able to describe what the qualities of a qualitative and the qualities of a quantitative variable are. You are able to differentiate between a discrete and a continuous variable. Thank you so much for joining me in this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you guys in class.